Yeah. So you remember, right? We were seeing the highway geometric design elements. So in that we had seen already the cross-sectional elements. You remember we studied in the last class, right? So in between there were a lot of breaks, but still. So in the cross-sectional elements, if I say, you would have studied the lot of features which is visible to the driver on the road, right? So that was like a shoulder, then you had median, curbs, so many more features, right? So all those things we saw in the last class. That was completely a set of cross-sectional elements of the highway. Now, second part of this highway geometric design elements is nothing but the side distance consideration. Okay, so for the side distance, so the side distance is what we are going to study now in detail. So that is the second important feature which is coming under the geometric highway geometric design. Okay, so if I say side distance, actually what is the meaning of side distance? So so when you are driving the vehicle, the actual vision or the actual distance which is visible to you ahead of you, okay, when you are driving the vehicle, that is called as the side distance. Okay, so the distance or the road which is visible to you, that is whichever is road which is in front of you, uh, the visible area, that is called as the side distance. So you can see the definition here. The actual distance along the road surface which a driver from a specified height above the carriageway means a road, has the visibility of stationary or moving objects is called as a side distance. That means the actual distance which is visible to you when you are driving the vehicle. So the driver will be definitely, he or she will be sitting at a specified height, right? Now we are going to see the restriction to side distance. So when this what to say, when you have the side distance getting blocked, okay, when you do not have a proper side distance, that's what we are going to study today. Okay, so the restrictions to side distance. So there are, like, what to say, different scenarios as you can see here. So we'll see each scenario in detail. Okay, so the first case is nothing but the side distance at the horizontal curve. So all of you, I hope all of you should remember what is a horizontal curve, right? I had shown you what is a horizontal curve. I mean, how it is visible on the road, right? So just have that picture or that image in your mind. Okay. So horizontal curve, you know what is a horizontal curve now. Okay. So you can see here one vehicle is coming from this side and the other vehicle is coming from the other side. You can see here. Okay. I'm just showing with the pointer. Okay, so you can see here. So what happens when the vehicles on either side are traversing this horizontal curve? What happens on inside, like towards inside of this horizontal curve? You remember when you're driving along a curve, you can see sometimes what to say, on either side there will be some obstructions like trees, or sometimes in case of some buildings, right? So what happens? So that obstruction is denoted here. So you can see the obstruction here. It is just shown as a rectangle here. So that is the obstruction. So that can be in the form of, you can see bushy trees, you can see there. So what happens to the driver? Because of this obstruction, the drivers on both the sides will not be able to see the vehicles coming from either side. So this driver on the left side will not be able to see the driver coming from the right hand side. Similarly, vice versa. Okay, so you can see that. So only because of this obstruction, the side distance to both the drivers is restricted. So that's why it's called as a restriction to side distance. And the scenario here, which we have seen here, is the horizontal curve. Okay, the side distance at the horizontal curve, and you can see the dotted line here. That is nothing but the uh, the line connecting the driver's eye vision. Okay, so from this driver's eye level to this driver's eye level, so that's why, so that is being obstructed by this, some obstruction either in the form of buildings or in the form of trees. So that is called as a sight line. Okay, so this is a scenario pertaining to the horizontal curve. Now next is a scenario which we are going to see is nothing but the on the vertical summit curve. So we have not seen what is a summit curve and what is a valley curve and all. So don't worry. So definitely we'll be seeing that in detail. So before that, I'll just tell you what is a summit and a valley curve. So in the case of vertical curves, you know now what is a vertical curve, right? So there will be a different, like what to say, ascending gradient and descending gradient, as I told you. You can see here, right? So you can see there is upgrade and there is a downgrade, whatever it is. So such type of curve is called as. So whenever there is an upgrade, you can see here in this case the car is going towards this side, right? Towards, if I say, my right side or your right side, right? So what happens, the car is actually climbing the gradient, or what to say, he's actually driving the upgrade, through the upgrade, right? So such curves are called as the summit curves. So in vertical curves there are two types of curves. One is a summit curve and the other is the valley curve. Okay, so we call it as either summit curve as a crest curve. So you know what is a crest. Okay, so it's like something like this, like upward slope. Okay, and you have something called as a valley curve or sag curve, we call it as. So that will be something like downward, like as if you're going downgrade. Okay, so that is called as a summit and a valley curve. So this is a scenario pertaining to the condition or scenario where side distance is restricted because of this vertical summit curve. Okay, so that is a upgrade. So what happens, so the driver is driving as usual, right? You can see his sight line, as well as you can see the eye level. That is his eye level. Okay, so it's generally yeah, I'll tell you all that. So generally the driver's eye level is taken as like around 1.2 meter from the, I mean, from the that is above the surface of the road, that is from the surface of the road. Generally the eye level of the driver is taken as 1.2 meter high. Okay, and now what happens when you're driving? So maybe like when you when if any of you have driven through the summit curve and all, you could have come across this problem, right? So when you're almost reaching the topmost point of the summit curve, not uh, on this point I'm telling, when you're about to reach, you'll not be able to see the vehicle coming from the other side, right? That is because you have too much upward slope, correct? So what is actually blocking here, this portion of the upward curve or the summit curve is actually blocking the side distance of the driver. So what will happen to the driver sitting in this car? He'll not be able to see the vehicle coming from the other side, right? So that's the scenario here actually. So in the case of vertical curves, what happens is that you because of the steepness of the curve, the driver will not be able to see the vehicles coming from the other side. So you can see here actually the sight line, you see that is a dotted line. Okay, so it's actually blocked by this topmost portion of the summit curve. Got it? So that's what happens in the case of so that's why here side distance is restricted due to this vertical summit curve. Okay, so you remember the in the case of horizontal curve, the I mean the side distance is obstructed due to the so as I said, there will be some obstruction inside of the curve. Okay, so you should understand the concept and then write the answers for me. And third scenario is nothing but in the case of intersection. So here most of you have come across this. So what happens if there is a, so this is a four-legged intersection. So why I call it as a four-legged intersection? Because there are four roads, approaching roads, coming together and forming a junction. So there are like different five leg, six leg, seven leg, whatever it is. Okay, so this is called as a four-legged intersection. So you have four, I mean you can see here one road, two, three, and four. Four approach roads meeting together to form an intersection. So what happens here? You can see here, right? So there is one vehicle coming on this side, and there is another vehicle coming from this side. So what happens in this case? You can see here in the case of sometimes adjacent towards the roads, you will have a lot of buildings and all constructed, right? So because of all these, what happens, the side distance, I mean the, you can see the sight line of the driver is being obstructed to this because of this building or whatever. It can be trees, it can be buildings, sometimes it can be like advertisement boards. So all those are the examples of obstructions. Okay, so because of that, the side distance is the, that mean the both of these drivers will not be able to see each other. So that is the scenario actually happens at the intersections. Okay, if there is obstruction. So that's why, that's the point, right? That is the concept we are seeing now. So these are all the scenarios where the side distance is getting restricted. Okay, so hope you understood the three scenarios. So I want you to write with the diagrams when you're writing for the exam, not only for my exam, for the university exams also. Okay. Now, coming to the types of side distance. So you have different types of side distance. Okay. So for each side distance, you will have different numericals also. So understand the concept carefully. Then, I mean, only if you understand the concept, you will be able to write it. Or when you are doing the numerical, you will be able to understand it. Got it? Don't mug up the things. Just try to understand what is happening actually in the situation. Now coming to the different types of side distance. So one is nothing but the stopping side distance. So most of you have come across this. Okay. So before that, I'll just tell you stopping side distance or SSD. It is also called as the absolute minimum side distance. So you should study the other names of the I mean, alternate names of the side distance. Okay, if it is stopping distance, side distance, it is also called as the absolute minimum. So if I say write a short note or derive the expression for the absolute minimum side distance, you should know that it is the stopping side distance. So I'll tell you what is stopping side distance. So suppose if you're driving a vehicle, okay, so suddenly what happens suddenly, like what to say, a cat or a dog, or suddenly you see some obstruction ahead of you. Okay, so what is the tendency, what you will do in that particular scenario? You will stop the vehicle, right? Okay, but you should stop the vehicles in such a way that you should not collide with that obstruction, correct or not? Or you will go and dash near that, I mean, whether you will go and hit near that obstruction or not, no. So, whenever you see an obstruction, you should have a sufficient side distance to safely stop your vehicle without colliding with the obstruction ahead of you. That side distance is called as the stopping side distance. Hope you understood, right? So, I'll just repeat once again. So when you're driving a vehicle, you see an obstruction either in the form of cat or dog or whatever it is, or it may be another vehicle. So you should safely stop your vehicle such that you should have a sufficient side distance to safely stop your vehicle, right? How you should, what do you mean by safely stopping the vehicle? You should not collide with the obstruction. So that side distance is called as the SSD or the absolute minimum side distance. So next is nothing but the intermediate side distance. Oh no, I'll come to that later. Okay, next we will see is the overtaking side distance. So overtaking side distance is nothing but, again, when you're driving the vehicle, okay, there may be some slow moving vehicles ahead of you, right? So sometimes in the form of cycle, suppose you're driving in a car. Okay, so there may be scooters in front of you or auto in front of you, which is any kind of vehicle which is I mean, what to say, a slow moving vehicle which is slowly moving. Okay, so what will be your tendency now? Your tendency will be like you are driving at a like reasonable I mean maximum speed. So what will happen, like you will have a tendency to overtake that slow moving vehicle, correct or not? So you should overtake that slow, how you will overtake this slow moving vehicle ahead of you? You should also make sure that the vehicle coming from the opposite direction, you should not collide with the vehicle coming from the opposite direction, right? So that side distance is called as a overtaking side distance. So that is nothing but the driver, he or she, or you should be able to safely overtake the slow moving vehicle without causing any obstruction to the traffic in the opposite direction. Got it? Or without colliding with the vehicle coming from the opposite direction. So definitely, right? You will be seeing the slow moving vehicle as well as you will be seeing the vehicle coming from the opposite direction for overtaking. That side distance is called as the overtaking side distance. Hope you understood. Next is nothing but, yes, side distance to enter into an intersection. So we have seen that scenario as such, right? This is the scenario. So here also the drivers, he or she should have sufficient side distance to control his vehicle. Why? To, what to say, to avoid the collision between the vehicles. Okay, in order to avoid the collision, the driver should have some sufficient side distance. So that is called as the side distance to enter into an intersection. Okay, now we will see in, so hope you understood these are the major side distances: stopping side distance, overtaking side distance, and the safe side distance to enter into an intersection. Now IRC has recommended two types of side distances. One is called as the intermediate side distance, that is nothing but the ISD, and the other one is nothing but the, it is called as a HLSD, I mean, or HSD. Okay, so that is called as a headlight side distance. Okay, very very important. So this was suggested by IR. So now if I say intermediate side distance, that means, see, as I said, we have seen already the overtaking side distance, right? So suppose if you do not have, like, what to say, as much as distance to overtake, okay, at least some minimum distance called as the intermediate side distance should be there, visible to the driver, such that to give some limiting overtaking opportunities to the fast vehicles. Got it? So in some cases, there will not be complete overtaking side distance present for the driver to overtake. Okay. In that case, some minimum side distance will be available to give limited overtaking opportunities. Okay. So that is to provide overtaking, there will be small some minimum distance. That distance is called as the intermediate side distance, and it is generally calculated twice, that is two times the SSD. That is, the formula is twice the SSD, that is two times the stopping side distance, or the absolute minimum side distance. Okay, so that and all, we'll, when we are seeing the numerical, we'll see that. So just have in mind all these. Okay, definitely you should have in mind all these concepts. Okay, so listen whenever, when we are at, I mean, whenever I'm taking the class, so that is more than sufficient. When you, I mean, before studying, if you understand that, it's enough. Okay. Next is headlight side distance. So as I said, it also has some abbreviation like HLSD or HSD. Okay, so whenever, so this HSD is nothing but the distance which is visible to the driver during the night time. Okay, so during the night time and all, when you're driving, you can see, right? There may be some, like, what to say, uh, I mean, some difficulty, right? When the, especially in the case of blacktop roads, like in the big case of bitumen roads, okay. So the night vision will not be that available, that much visible to the driver, right? So in that case, some side distance, I mean, what to say that, I mean, side distance which is visible to the driver during the night times, okay, mainly under the illumination of the vehicle headlights, okay. So that is called as the headlight side distance. So the side distance which is visible or which is available to the driver during the night. Got it? So these are the different types of side distance. Okay. So we'll be seeing each in detail. You have a lot of derivations also. Okay. So now the first, yeah, we are going to see the first type of side distance. That is nothing but the stopping side distance, or which is called as the absolute minimum side distance. Okay, so as I already said, you have a lot of different factors which are affecting the stopping side distance. Okay, so now you understood what is stopping side distance, right? The side distance which is available to the driver when he sees an obstruction. Okay, so he should be able to safely stop his vehicle when he, before, I mean, when he sees the obstruction. That is called as the stopping side distance. Now generally it has got a lot of factors. So in the first main important factor is nothing but the total reaction time. Okay, so if I say a reaction time of the driver, I'll just say it is a time taken by the driver from the instant when the object is visible to him, okay, to the instant when the brakes are applied by the driver. That is the total reaction time. That is the moment you see the, that is from the moment you see the obstruction in front of you or the object in front of you to the instant the brakes are applied. That time is called as the reaction time of the driver. Okay, and you have reaction times for stopping side distance as well as for overtaking side distance. So for stopping side distance, I'll tell you the reaction time generally taken is 2.5 seconds. So whenever I would just want to tell you something, whenever I am taking the class, keep a note in front of you. I mean, what to say, jot down all the important points which I'm stressing. Okay, so only then it's not simply looking at the system and simply hearing whatever I am telling. Okay, you should listen, you should do everything, but at the same time, whatever important points which I'm just stressing, you should make a note of it. Because why I'm telling you, say again, I'm not going to repeat all these things, right? So what I wanted to tell is the reaction time of the driver taken for the stopping side distance is 2.5 seconds. So sometimes they'll not give you the value in the question. That's the reason I'm telling you. So in that case, you should assume the value and then you should substitute. Okay. So for stopping side distance, the value of the total, I mean, of the reaction time of the driver is 2.5 seconds. Okay. So hope you understood now what is the reaction time is, right? So from the instant the driver sees the obstruction to the instant the vehicles need to be stopped. Okay. Now, you have other factors also. We'll discuss the factors. So in reaction time itself, you have a theory called as the PIEV theory. Okay, so we'll discuss that. So before that, I'll just explain all the factors. Okay, so when you're expected to write the factors, you should write about the PIEV theory also, which is coming under the total reaction time. Okay, now you have other factors like speed of the vehicle. So definitely, right, when you're going to stop the vehicle, when you see an obstruction, definitely the stopping side distance will be dependent on the speed also. Higher the speed, higher will be the stopping distance. And also this again SSD will depend upon the efficiency of the brakes also, right? So how effective the brakes are, so definitely that is also one of the major factor. And finally, the frictional resistance. Between the frictional resistance means, you know, it is definitely it's between the road and the tires. And I think when we were discussing the friction in the cross-sectional elements, I had told you, right? There are two types of friction. One is the longitudinal friction and the other is the lateral frictional coefficient. Okay. Longitudinal coefficient and the lateral coefficient. Okay. So generally longitudinal friction, we generally take the value as 0.35 to zero point 0.4. Okay. So all those things we will be discussing in detail when we are coming to the numerical. So don't worry about that. Okay. Now a theory which is explained. I mean, there is a theory to explain the total reaction time of the driver. Okay, so that is called as the PIEV theory. So I do not know whether most of you have learned or not. So PIEV stands for perception, intellection, emotion and volition. Okay, so according to this theory, now you know what is total reaction time, right? So the total reaction time of the driver split into four parts. So I said the moment the driver sees the obstruction to the moment the brakes are applied. Okay, so in that time, that reaction time is split into the different parts here, that is a perception, intellection, emotion and volition. So we'll see each detail in detail. Okay, so the perception is nothing but, imagine when you're driving the vehicle, you are seeing the obstruction. So what happens, it is a time required for the sensations received by the driver's eyes or ears, and from that it will be transmitted to the brain. That is called as a perception time. Okay, so the moment you see the object, you're seeing the object, and okay, it is being reflected to your brain or nervous system, through the nervous system and whatever it is. Okay, so that time is called as a perception time. Second is nothing but the intellection time. So if I say intellection time, so once it is perceived by the brain, then what happens? Okay, you have understood there is an obstruction. Okay, you have got it in your brain. Now what you should do, you should understand what is happening in the actual scenario. Okay, that is the time required to understand that particular situation. That is called as the intellection time. Next you have the emotion time. Okay, so that is nothing but so whenever the driver sees an object or whatever it is, whether an obstruction, he can have some emotional sensations, like either in the form of anger or either in the form of fear or some other feelings. Okay, it varies from driver to driver. That is called as the emotion time. Okay, so the time during the emotional sensations of the driver, being it in fear or anger or other feelings. That is the emotion. And finally, it's the volition time. That is, it is definitely you, yeah, you have to take a final action. What is that final action? You are going to apply the brakes. That is called as the volition. Time taken for the final application of brakes, final action. Got it? So this is called as the PIEV theory, and all these are coming under the total reaction time of the driver. Hope you understood, right? So you yourself imagine whenever you are suddenly seeing an obstruction, all these, I mean, the moment you see the obstruction to the brakes are applied is called as a total reaction time. And in that reaction time itself, that reaction time is split up into all these. Obviously, right? You'll see the obstruction, it will be perceived by your brain. Then you have to understand what is happening in that scenario. That is the intellection. Then either you'll be angry, or you'll be like very much, what to say, very curious, or very much like or you will have a fear, right? And accordingly you will act. That acting is called as the volition. Got it? So hope you understood the PIEV theory. Now next what we are going to see is the analysis of this stopping side distance. Okay, so one second, I'll just check. Analysis of the side distance. So you are going to start with the derivation. So hope you can see the screen, right? Mm, so here you are going to see the, first of all, you are going to see the stopping side distance scenario on a level road. You know what is a level road, right? There is no gradients, there is no vertical curves, there is no horizontal curves, it's just a straight portion of the road. Okay, so that is the analysis of first case is nothing but the analysis of this stopping side distance on the level road. Okay, now this and when we are going to the analysis of SSD, generally this SSD is a sum of the lag distance and the braking distance. Okay, so I'll tell you what it is. So lag distance, so you can see here, right? Lag distance is nothing but the distance traveled by the vehicle during the reaction time. So now you would have understood what is the reaction time, right? Distance traveled by the vehicle uh, during the reaction time is the lag distance, is generally represented as, since it's a distance, it is D. Okay, so yeah, so I'll just finish up this first, at least this portion. Okay, so now, so you know speed is distance by time. You, that is a basic rule, basic fundamental what to say, formula you would have studied in physics. Okay, speed is distance by time. So from that, definitely I can calculate distance, right? That is nothing but speed times the time. So here the time here, which is indicated as small t, is nothing but the reaction time of the stopping side distance. That is, as I said, 2.5 seconds. Okay. Now you have another thing which is called as a braking distance. That is nothing but the distance traveled by the vehicle after the application of brakes until the vehicle comes to a stop. So when you are suddenly stopping the vehicle, you can remember, you can realize, right? Sometimes it will not stop as a sudden. So sometimes there will be some distance which is which the vehicle goes ahead to some distance, right? And then only it comes to a stop. So that is called as a braking distance. It is generally represented by the symbol or variable L, small l, you can see here. Okay, now now you can, so as of now you understood, right? So SSD is nothing but the sum of the lag distance and the braking distance. Now lag distance the expression we have already found out here. It is speed times the reaction time of the driver. Okay, now coming to the braking distance, you can see here. So generally what we are going to we are actually going to find the expression for this braking distance. Okay, so for that we have to equate two things. So one is nothing but the work done by the driver in actually stopping his vehicle when he is seeing the obstruction. Okay, and the other is nothing but the kinetic energy of the moving vehicle. These two are the components which we are going to equate it each other. Okay, so for that, so actually what is the thing, we are going to find the expression for the braking distance. Now you can see the vehicle here, right? I've just represented it. You can see here, you can just see a small vehicle here. So the vehicle is actually moving. You can see the arrow marks towards the right side, right? So it's actually moving. So when the driver sees the obstruction, he stops the vehicle. Okay, so therefore the initial velocity of this vehicle in the starting position is, let it be small v, and the final velocity, you know, it is definitely 0 because he is stopping the vehicle. Okay, so you can see the vehicle is moving towards the right side. Okay, now this vehicle itself, it will have a self weight component, right? So that is indicated by the capital W. Definitely it will have a normal force also, that is indicated by the upward force F suffix capital N. Okay, now there is something called as a frictional force which that's taking place between the tires and the road. So whenever, so the frictional force is always acting, it will always act against the direction of motion. Suppose in this case the vehicle is moving along this side, right, towards my right side or towards your right side, but what will happen to the frictional force? It will act opposite, it will act in the opposite direction. Okay, so always remember that the frictional force will act against the direction of motion. Okay, so that's why I've indicated towards this side. So F suffix small f is the frictional force. It's enough if you understand this much. From this, you yourself can derive the expression. So now we'll see. So you have understood, right? It has got a self weight. The vehicle has got a self weight, a normal force, a frictional force. Okay, you know the initial velocity and you know the final velocity of the vehicle when it is coming to a stop. Now, yes, now we are going to equate. So what I've done here is I've equated the vertical components here. You can see W is equal to Fn, right? Both of them have the opposite sign. So then I've equated it as like this. Okay. Now you know the weight is nothing but, you would have studied again in your physics. W is equal to mg, mass times the gravitational force. So that's what I've indicated by this equation. I've just substituted the expression for W, that is given by the equation 1. Okay, now frictional force, you have a formula, so developed between the tires and the pavement surface, that is nothing but the coefficient of friction times the normal force. So coefficient of friction mu, I have taken it as small f. Okay, so small f times the normal force will give me the frictional force. So small f is nothing but, it's not the force, it's the frictional coefficient. Okay, so I think I forgot to mention it here. Okay, whatever it is. Now what is our so yeah, so hope you understood these two expressions, right? So from this, what I've done, F times Fn I have already found out in my equation 1. I'm substituted here, I got my equation 2. So all these are very simple. Okay, so I have my equation 1 and 2 here. Okay, now my ultimate aim is to find the work done. What is work done? Again, go back to your physics. What is work? Force times the distance. So force, you know, here we are going to substitute the frictional force times the braking distance. Okay, the distance is nothing but the braking distance. You know that is represented by the variable small l. Again, what you're going to do, forces, as I said, it's a frictional force. So F suffix F, we already know the expression from equation 2. Substitute that as it is here, times the braking distance. You got your work done. That is given by equation 3. Correct? Now coming to kinetic energy. So our ultimate aim was to equate this work done to the kinetic energy. Work done, we had already found the expression here. Kinetic energy, you know, it is a half mv square. Since you have a final velocity and initial velocity, it is half times m mass times the uh, final velocity square minus the initial velocity square. Okay, so final velocity is 0 here, initial velocity is small v. Substituted. So what happens here, when you are substituting, you will get a negative value. So negative sign is nothing but just neglected. Y means it is the deceleration of the vehicle. You should know what is the acceleration and the deceleration, right? What is an acceleration? When you actually start the vehicle or you start moving, you are going to bring the vehicle to a high speed. What happens in the case of deceleration? You are ultimately bringing the vehicle to a stop. So that's what it is indicated by this negative sign, and moreover it is a scalar quantity, it's not a vector quantity. So you know what is a scalar and a vector, right? Scalar, it will have only magnitude, only value, and in the case of vector, whereas acceleration is a vector quantity, it will have both direction and magnitude. Magnitude is nothing but the value, direction it is indicated either it is a positive or negative. So since here deceleration is a scalar quantity, Okay, it will have only the magnitude. Magnitude means just take only this value, half mv square. Negative sign is just indicates that deceleration. Okay, it's just neglected. Now what happens? Just equate the work done and the kinetic energy, equate it together, cancel out all the common terms, and finally you want the expression for the braking distance L, that you are going to get it as v square by 2gf. Got it? So now what is SSD actually? It is a sum of lag distance and the braking distance. Lag distance we had already found out d, which is Vt, plus v square by 2gf. That is a braking distance. Got it? Easy expression, right? So this is in the case of a level road. Okay. Now again, two more scenarios are there. That is one on the upgrade and one on the downgrade. So here I'll just explain you here. So you should be very careful when you're using the formulas. Okay, so there are two formulas when one speed is in meter per second, and you have a formula when v is in kilometer per hour. It depends on you which to choose. That is your your choice, but be careful when you're choosing the equation. And here one more thing which I want to stress is v is speed of the vehicle. This is a formula when it is in meter per second. So suppose I'm giving you find the SSD for a vehicle which is traveling at a speed of 30 meter per second. If I say so, directly substitute the value. Suppose if I am telling is the speed of the vehicle is in 80 kilometer per hour, convert to meter per second and then substitute the value. Got it? So I think the time is going to cut. So before that, I'll just tell you G is the acceleration due to gravity, L is the braking distance in meter, coefficient of friction generally taken as 0.35. If it is not given, assume the value. Reaction time is 2.5 seconds. Okay, so that's all about the expression. So with that, we'll stop today.